Dr. Ashutosh Raghuvanshi, MD and CEO at Narayana Healthcare, is now joining us. They have opened their IPO or offered their shares to public. Yesterday, the IPO opened 0.6, 0.7 times is what it has already been subscribed. Firstly, sir, congratulations for this big development at the company. At the very outset, can you just introduce your company to our viewers? What essentially the company does? How does it make profits? What are the specialities of this company?
Yes, currently we operate 5,442 beds with a built-in capacity of about over 6,000 beds. We are essentially focused on tertiary care specialities for the working class people. The focus specialities are cardiac sciences, neurosciences, nephrology, and oncology. We are present in about 23 locations across the country. We have managed 54 facilities, including the hospital, healthcare centers, and the primary healthcare centers. We have been growing consistently at the revenue CAGR of about 30% year on year, and we have been growing on the EBITDA levels at about 23.8% year on year.
Sir, this offer is primarily an exit for some of the earlier investors. Is the company raising any money for future growth?
No, the company is currently well poised for its future growth plans. This essentially is an offer for sale from some of the existing investors. The PE investors who came in year 2008, namely JP Morgan and erstwhile AIG, which is now PineBridge. They are offering respectively 6% and 4% of this offering, and 2% is being offered by the promoters, which constitutes 12% of share offering. The existing shareholders are not exiting completely. They currently hold about 12.5% each. So they're both going to maintain a position in the company. On the other hand, we also have another PE investor, CDC from UK, which came in last year, and they are going to remain invested as well.
Right. As far as your hospitals right, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, please, you carry on.
Right. Sir, I was asking about your asset-light model that you have. The hospitals that you build in or you expand, there are four segments, mainly ownership, revenue sharing, leasing, and managed basis. Can you just tell us that how will expansion happen going ahead? Will the mix remain almost the same?
Yeah, the mix essentially will remain, it will be a kind of a hybrid approach. Because we believe that the asset-right model is the way to grow, so that we need less capital to be deployed, and we can have a wider presence and create a larger scale and create a kind of a networking effect within a given cluster. As we have a prominent position in two clusters, being East and southern cluster around the Karnataka, Bangalore region. We would expect to create similar clusters in other regions as well. The owned facility typically require a lot of capital investment. At the same time, they also take a lot of time to execute, and they're greenfield facilities, so they have a maturity cycle which goes in 3 to 5 years. At the same time, when we have kind of a collaboration with, say, trusts, PPP projects, or other potential acquisitions which may come at the right cost, those projects typically would have a shorter gestation period and would become mature much quicker. So we will continue to follow the same strategy what we have followed in past, and keep growing in creating clusters in other regions of the country other than the two which we are already present, and keep on strengthening our presence within these two clusters as well.
So the company has a very low cost of capital, as in, the overall capex cost. So 25 lakhs per bed versus generally the peers being about 60-65 lakhs per bed. How do you manage that?
Yeah, it's essentially the mix of the kind of projects we have. It is not that we have some magic formula to reduce the cost of construction, but because in most cases, some of the assets, being the land and building, are coming from a partner or or a PPP project where it is coming from government. For example, the hospital we are doing in Vaishno Devi, which we plan to commission over the next 3 to 4 months, is being developed in association with the Vaishno Devi Shrine Board. And the entire capex for building as well as equipment is being provided by the Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine Board. So essentially the capex requirement for such a project becomes almost zero. On an average out, when you see per bed, our capex is much lower, and we have been able to spread much faster with lesser amount of money.
Also, tie-ups and partnership, that's been a key focus at the company versus some of the other peers?
That is right. We have currently 4 projects in various degrees of commissioning, and if you would see that all those 4 projects are in a different format. The one which I mentioned earlier, other than that, we are also doing a children's hospital, tertiary care specialized children's hospital, one of its kind in Mumbai, which is again in association with a trust called SRCC, which provides us a building where a lot of contributions have come from very well-known donors around Mumbai region, and NH equips the hospital and manages it. On the other hand, we also have a tie-up in Lucknow, where a builder who's developing a township with a mixed development of residential, commercial, etc., he's developing the hospital part for us in a build-to-suit kind of structure. And we pay him a certain percentage of the top line in order to give his return on his investment. And we equip the hospital ourselves. On the other hand, the last one, which is in Bhubaneswar, is a place where we have acquired land from the government, and we would build and equip the hospital ourselves. So essentially, it's a mix of all kind of projects which spreads out your capital, gives you an ability to reach out far and wide, and at the same time, these projects turn around much quicker.
Right. The focus right now, I was just looking at the geographical breakup, is mainly from Karnataka and eastern regions. And the new capex that you told us about, the 2-3 new initiatives that you're taking in, are in other regions. So the focus will be to become a pan-India player in the next few years?
Absolutely. We have already developed a position of strength in the 2 clusters you mentioned, east and southern around Bangalore region. We would similarly like to develop clusters in western India, central India, and northern India. We have some presence in these areas. We have a hospital in Jaipur and Ahmedabad. So around that, we will want to create a bigger cluster. Similarly, we have a presence in Raipur and central India. So around that, we would like to create a cluster. And we would like to look at the northern area as well.
Right. Sir, do you expect the hospital industry to have a significant scope of capacity addition in most of the areas that you spoke? Because there are already a lot of operators into this area who have been expanding, like you have been doing in some other regions.
Yes. It is true that a lot of providers are there, but the gap between the need and the supply is huge. So there is a space for everyone to grow. However, what is very important to recognize is that NH's focus is on working class people at a price point which they can afford. So that is the largest portion of our demographics in this country. And since our focus is on that, we believe that there is a need in every part of the country for more capacity to be built and for a player such as ours to be present there.
Right. The point that you made, that affordability is one of the key things. With such expansions taking place, do you think that prices of a lot of healthcare in India may actually go up, which has already been going up? So it may not actually, be such an attractive medical tourist destination going ahead as it has been so far.
Yes, the prices are bound to go up because there are several external factors which will influence the price of healthcare, especially because a lot of material and implants, etc., are imported. So fluctuations in the rupee rate definitely affects the cost of imports. However, the differential in price in India and in the Western countries or the other markets is still very huge. And the medical tourism segment is likely to continue to grow for many years to come, because there are many large parts of the world, especially in Africa and Central Asia, and also in some of the neighboring countries, which do not have adequate infrastructure. And since those markets are also price sensitive, those patients will choose to come to India rather than go to more expensive destinations such as Thailand or Singapore. So we will still have a price advantage, at least in the mid and short term. I would expect that for next 10 years, India will remain very, very competitive as far as healthcare pricing is concerned.
So there was a very interesting report from a banker which said that healthcare names should be an overweight in the portfolio. And the key reason was a lot has been spoken about the demographics that we have now. But after 10 years, most of these working class people would get into an age bracket where diseases or they would be much more prone to diseases. And that's the time when healthcare would do well. As a healthcare player, I just wanted your view on this.
Any young nation starts aging, so definitely the aging population have more healthcare needs, and our large population, when it starts aging and the demographic starts changing, it's definitely going to put a pressure on the healthcare system. And at the same time, if the infrastructure doesn't exist, then it will push the prices as well, which may not be affordable to most of the people who retire. So I think there is an opportunity there, especially for a player which is focusing on reducing the price point of delivery. So definitely, as the nation starts aging, the requirement of care keep on increasing. And we believe that India will be in a position, if we have our policies right about training the manpower, especially the ancillary manpower in terms of nursing aides and other people who take care of aging population, we can provide support not only to our own populations, but this could become a big export for India. The healthcare could become a very, very major part of our economy.
Sir, thank you so much for taking out time for us, and all the best for the IPO which you have offered to public yesterday. That was the focus on primary markets. Narayana Healthcare has come up with an IPO offering starting yesterday.